Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to Meshery Build-in Release Call. This call takes place every other Thursday, so every second and fourth Thursday of the week. And so that's where we are right now. So if you have any agenda items, please write them down in the meeting minutes. I have pasted the link of the meeting minutes in the chat, and I guess most of you who are in the call right now are also in the meeting minutes. So that's about that. And before we start with the agenda items, I think we should do some introductions if there is someone who's new on the call. So if there is someone who's this is the if this is your first time joining the CI call, the build and release call, even if you have joined any other calls, if this is your first call, then it would be nice of you to introduce yourself because this call doesn't take place that often as compared to the other calls. So Usman, is this your first time in the CI call? Because I've seen you in the team, but
Yeah, hi, am I audible?
yeah, you're audible.
Right, so this is my first time in the CI call. So
Okay,
I
will you
joined,
introduce yourself?
yep, so I joined Meshery in 28th of March of April, and I'm a full stack developer at DevZinc. It's a software house. In Mind, I specialize in Mind, and I will be working on the front end at Meshery at layer 5. That I graduated last year. It's been 10 months since I graduated. That's my intro.
Okay, thanks, Usman, for introducing yourself. So, have you worked with GitHub Actions or any CI related stuff before? Any unit tests in Golang maybe, or any Cypress tests in JavaScript?
Yep, I have worked with GitHub Actions.
Okay. That's good to know. So, have a look out in the Meshery CI channel, Slack channel, and because there are always more requirement for the workflows, then we have contributors who are willing to or who would contribute to those things. So yeah, if you like maybe we can get you assigned some issues in today's call. Let's see how it goes, or basically I will tag you in the Slack channel once the issues open up, so if you're ready to tackle them.
Right,
uh,
right.
Yeah. And you might join someone else as well. You can collaborate with someone else so that you can gain more experience on GitHub Actions. So yeah. Other than Usman, is there someone else who's new on the call? First time?
Yeah, I'm also new.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I am a second year student from Triple IT Agartala, and I'm just exploring the CNCF projects. And I have worked with the CI previously, like GitHub Actions and Azure pipelines.
Okay. Okay. So you uh, so you have some DevOps experience, I would say.
Yeah,
Okay. You also have an item in the agenda in the topics list. So let's see when we get there. Anyone
yeah,
else?
sure.
I guess Vivek is Vivek. Is it your first time? I think he has introduced himself in the chat. So yeah, that's good to know, Vivek. So I think we can get started with the agenda items. Before I talk about the Meshery test plan, I think I'll I'll give Abhi the mic here so that he can talk about the Cypress test because he might have other things to cater to. So Abhi, would you like to share your screen and talk about the Cypress test first?
Yeah. Yes. Before that, I would like to, just see if Friedish or Gaurav or Mario is on the call already. Yes, so I think Friedish is there, right? Now we can talk.
Make sure you give people enough context so they understand what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So right now I'm talking about the Cypress end-to-end test that runs in Meshery repository. So if you look here in the Meshery repositories, there are two. The tests are failing, and integration as well as end-to-end test. Both are consistently failing for like quite some time, maybe more than 1 or 2 months. and that's not being worked on. And in the past CI call, we have discussed about like why it is failing. So we had few people from the community, they appeared and they just we just researched about like yeah, thought and just checked why the tests are failing, and uh, there was some reasons over the failure, and I think we assigned some people as well the task. So yeah, that was the context over what we are talking about, and that it's still in the failing state, and there are two open issues as I was talking about. The first one is integration test, and second one for the end-to-end test. So I think there is two PRs as well, one by Mario and one by Friedish. So let me first talk about Friedish because he's already here. Uh, this one, just a moment. Yeah, this one. So yeah. By the way, British, do you want to talk about it? The PR that you have opened or the draft you have opened? I think
Yeah,
it's
sure.
from the
Sure, no
last week.
problem. Sure, no
Yeah.
problem. Okay. Uh, so I was supposed to work on like fixing the issue for the user preference. So for that, okay, can I share my screen? I will.
Yeah, please.
Yes. Okay. So basically on the PR that I made was kind of to test. So for the, okay. So for the user preference, so after when the test is being run, like the user, nothing is being sent to the user. So normally
Uh-huh.
those elements should have been sent automatically, but they are not sent. I try to like increase the timeout to see the result, but it didn't really affect it. So for now, like
That is
for now, I don't like really know which way to explore. So I kind of try to go back to find the commit actually that caused that issue, like the first commit where the end-to-end test started failing. But the one that I found was about storybook, so it was not kind of related to this part of it. So I don't know. Like I wanted to ask actually Mario about if he said that he's gonna test it also on his side. So I wanted also to kind of see his point of view about that.
okay. Okay, so you are stuck in at the moment, right? By the way, uh, in that case, like first of all, we have to make sure like without even Cypress, the requests are sent out to the server or not. Have you confirmed this behavior? Like, oh, how you approached the fix? And did you open the server UI instance and checked, or what
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
do for that?
Actually, I ran it like locally to confirm to see if everything was being sent, and it was. So yeah, like I also, since Mario also said that he's gonna test it locally, I wanted also to get a confirmation also on inside, and so that we can. I don't know. Like, do you have maybe an idea of another way to explore it? Or...
Okay, okay. So first of all, we have to make sure that the request to the server when the user preferences are changed is sent out. I mean, if it
Yeah,
is failing in Cypress, that's definitely shouldn't have been, you know, being sent out at the first place.
yeah,
So, I mean, this is not actually a Cypress issue right now, because as you said, like you are not able to track any request sent. So maybe it's a UI bug that has to be fixed, or that needs to be catered separately.
No problem.
And we have to first of all confirm that behavior. So we can do it either by going to playground and checking the request
Okay.
response. So do you have the playground running right now? I mean, you can go it if you don't have.
No, no, I don't. Yes,
Dot. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Yeah. In the.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I have
replace play
access
with
to it.
playground.
You say?
Replace play with playground on the address bar.
Okay, okay. So,
Okay, we can while you see it, like I can just quickly talk about the other item.
sure, sure.
Yeah. Uh, I would take control of the screen. Yeah. So the first issues we are looking through it, and the second issue is the Meshery. I mean, Cypress integration test failures, and I, I think there is an open PR, but that doesn't actually solves the issues or solve the root of the issue. So it is just about adding data CUI prop to identify the Cypress selectors, but actually that doesn't solve the problem, because the problem is, as we discussed in the previous call, was something else. And yeah, and it is also related to the user spec as well. The same way end-to-end test failure is related to user spec. So maybe we can discuss it after the call, because it's already very late to discuss it right now, and we don't have the people with whom we want to discuss this issue. Yeah. By the way, any one of you who want to take over these issues and work on the failing test, like you can just call out in the chat, or you can unmute your mic and ask for the assignment. If you need more context, then please let us know. We are ready to give you.
And I think this is a much better time to ask questions and get the issue assigned, because the whole process is synchronous as compared to you would ask on Slack and then there's a back and forth, and yeah, that introduces delay. So strike when it's hot. So I'll pause for 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, let's say. And if you have any doubts regarding how you can contribute to this particular part of the code, you can ask Abhi. He would clarify your doubts. So yeah.
So Abhishek, just to confirm, like the request is being sent to the on Meshery playground.
Okay, okay. Okay, then it's the problem in the Cypress itself, right?
Okay. So yeah, go ahead, Abhi.
Pritish, if you are able to share your screen, like what was the, how the request structure was looking like.
Oh, okay, okay, sure.
I mean,
Simply.
Okay, toggle one of it. I mean, I think it's the second window, send anonymous user statistics window, or yeah, that component. If you untoggle or toggle, I mean, if you toggle the send
Yeah.
anonymous user statistics, there should be a request sent, and how it looks like, what's the
Okay.
signature of this?
Yeah,
It's a API/user/prefs, right? And in the test, okay, yeah, there is a problem, by the way. So if you see, we have question mark context equals all, and in the post, I mean, the interception URL looks like, I mean, it's it assumes that there is nothing after the prefs, so you can just put a star after prefs. I can show my screen just to
Okay.
clear this issue.
Sure.
Yeah, so if you're seeing this one, right?
Yeah.
So our interception URL interception request endpoint should look like this, where it is /API user prefs. But what's being sent out is prefs, then a question mark which contains a query string, dash dash, right? I think
Yeah.
context equal true. So what you have to do just to fix this issue is replace this statement prefs with just this one, add a star as well.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So star is a wildcard entry, and it will just you know do the regex matching based on the wildcard logics. So I
All right.
think that's as simple as that. Yeah, I mean you may try this and get back to it.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Abhi. Thanks, Redis. Nice that we got that solved in the call only. Saves a lot of time. So, okay. So let's move on to the next item. So before we move on to Ansh, I'll talk about the Meshery test plan a little quick. So this is the Meshery test plan. You have the link over here in the standing agenda item. This test plan has two parts. There is this part which is a matrix of all the permutation and combination of different Meshery components and different test scenarios. So, and these components include Meshery CTL, Meshery adapters, and Meshery server, etc., etc. So, some of these tests are manual, which means that the action is something like when you do curl, when you use this particular command, which you most probably would find in the documentation when you go to install Meshery on your particular platform, be it Kubernetes or Docker. And when you do this, does it work? Are there any issues with it? So on these ones on the top are manual, and as you scroll down at the bottom, there are some adapter tests, some Meshery CTL tests. So this sheet is not really updated right now. So we need, there is a call for volunteers for this, for updating this test plan spreadsheet. So that's what I was talking about at the start of the call, which is that we have a few contributors and more tests to cover and to monitor. And this spreadsheet is kind of a single source of truth for all those, which at least we try for it to be the single source of truth, which it isn't right now currently. So it would be ideal to have this current state move to the desired state, which is the state of our current GitHub actions and just the current state. So for example, some of these things might not be true to an extent. So for example, here there are scenarios like the last time it was updated, it was an year and a half ago. So I'm not really sure that like more functionality has been added. Some of the things have been taken out. So if you get time and if you are browsing around with mesh these features, this is a spreadsheet that you that will come handy to you. So you can go through different user flows and test out stuff for yourself. you can look at different type of tests over here, like the adapter test or the Meshy CTL test, and see if there are some deviations from the actual behavior. If yes, then you can ping on the Meshy CI Slack channel, and you can put your name in front. I think there was a column for here in the notes and guidelines. You can give comments that I try to test it. There is some issue with this particular thing, and so on and so forth. So the link for this thing is inside here. The second thing which needs a little update is automated test and build. So the same spreadsheet has a second sheet, which is this automated test and builds. And this is for the purpose of consolidating all of the or indexing all of the Meshery org workflows, which is to say Meshery server and Meshery adapters and Meshery CTL and Meshery UI at one place, so that you can go to each repo, and then you can go to .github/workflows to see what the exact workflow is, but it's always handy to have it at one place. And here also the aim is the same, which is to move to desired state from the current state, so that this spreadsheet reflects uh, the current state of GitHub Actions. So these are the workflow names, all the workflows that we have currently. These are the triggers for those workflows, some prerequisites, whether it's a test or a build, because a workflow can be like a lint test or a unit test or a need to be test, or it just might be a CI build, which takes place on a push or a merge or a release. And there are some extra notes about these things. So yeah, you can go over this thing to get a hang of what are all the tests that run around Meshery. And if you find some of this interesting, some of those tests which are failing, you want to take them up, then you can take them up, you can fix them, you can maybe propose new tests, add them in the workflow. The gist is that whenever you make any CI change, you take this test plan as a reference and you add this in the uh, PR link or the issue link or whatever you create. There's always need to be this particular test plan that you should be referencing at all times. That was our other test plan. And so I'll now move over to the second item actually, which is from Ansh, failing Meshery E2E tests. I think there are three links over here. I think I should let him talk now. So Ansh, would you like to go over your items? What have you been
So
working on?
my issue was that we are
You
not
can share your
conditionally.
screen. You can share your
Sure.
screen.
Yeah, is it visible?
Yep.
Yeah, so my issue was that like we are not actually checking for the GitHub repository inside the workflows. Like in the print inputs workflow, here we are checking that if the GitHub repository is Meshery. So we are actually running that test in the fork repository. So like if a workflow fails inside the forked repository, so we should not actually run it inside the forked
Yeah.
version. So we should add this statement if conditions to like all of the workflows which do not require to be run on the forked repositories.
Do you have a list of such workflows or such actions which you think that should be running in the fork? I mean, there are a bunch of them, but if you have a list of them,
Yeah,
then again, the Meshy test plan would be the ideal place to put them and discuss them. And then you can create a PR just adding this particular if condition to the trigger of each of these jobs.
yeah. Currently, I have checked like this end-to-end tests, integrations of data, and the build and release workflow, and the other is Slack workflow. So I will check out other workflows too.
Yeah. Things like Slack workflow make sense because, of course, they make sense. I don't know if we should be allowing the run of end-to-end tests. So, like, there are things which require secrets, and these are org level secrets. So, of course, if that test is run on your forked repository, then it will fail because you do not have the access to the secrets. So, the one thing that you can like quickly do is just to scrape through the, not scrape, is not the right word, just to browse through all the workflows and look for the ones which use secrets. So of course, if you use secrets, then make sure that it has that if condition, because secrets will only be present in the upstream.
Sure, I'll check that.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's it.
that was the first item, right?
Yeah. So basically, I have mentioned these workflows, three workflows like end-to-end test, integration of data, and the like build and release workflow.
Okay.
Only these were failing right now because I received the email every morning, like because we have like cron jobs for them to run at like 7 a.m. So
Mm-hmm.
we should turn them off in the fork repositories.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. Makes sense. So, is there an issue opened? So, I think you should collaborate on this particular thing with other folks as well, so that people who want to contribute to, like, who want to get started with GitHub Actions, they can. So, I think ideally, what you should do is you should make a proposal, and that proposal should go into a GitHub issue where you kind of list down in a checklist of all the actions along with the link that this one requires a secret, this one is a Slack notification, this one. So you have reason, and then you have the list of all those things, and then the Meshy test plan. Those things are also reflected in the Meshy test plan, and then you can assign those things can be assigned to different people. You can take a major chunk of them, and then maybe few of them can be assigned to someone who wants to create, who wants to just get started with it. So like
So
Vivek is saying on the chat that he would like to volunteer. So yeah, then you can have a call out for volunteers in the CI channel that, hey, this is the issue and I have taken the like 4 of these. If anyone wants to work, you can take the rest too, and you can explain the whole thing.
yeah, sure. In which repository should I open the issue?
Meshery, I guess.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, so that was it from your side.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think one other thing that I wanted to discuss with you, which something that we were discussing, I think in Slack, which was about adding monitoring to Playground. Do you remember?
Thanks.
Yeah. So would you like to contribute to that as well?
Yeah, I would take a look at it.
Come again?
Yeah, I have not actually looked at that issue which you're talking about.
I don't think there is an open issue right now. I do not think there is an open issue right now about the. Let me just cross check. But the ask is that right now inside of Playground, if you'll go inside of Playground, there is a node exporter running on the VM, and so we have two machines, two bare metals. And there is this cluster running on these two bare metal machines, and the only metrics that we get right now are the metrics from the node exporter, not from the pods or anything like not any relevant cluster metrics. So we get things like what's the CPU usage of the overall node. So as you can see that there we are connected to Prometheus, but again then the logs are not pretty. The metrics is helpful only like when Playground goes down or something. So we know that there is something going wrong with the node. But in Meshmap, there are other stuff as well. So like you have pods, you have services like so we would want some combination of Prometheus and ideally Grafana also. After you have a basic Prometheus installed, so for this you might need a little bit of research, a little bit of planning how you would want to approach this thing. So if there is not already an issue, I think I might have created an issue. Here also you can contribute with the other people. You don't have to work alone on this. I guess. Yeah, I don't think there is an open issue for this thing. So you can create an issue for this as well. And if I'm wrong and if there is an issue, then someone will point it out and then we can go back to the original issue. But yeah, just to give you the gist is you would need access to you would need access to the cluster, the kube config, if you don't already have. Do you have the kube config for this cluster?
No, not that.
Okay, so if you will be working, so once you have a plan in place, you can ask for the kube config. So actually, there is a whole different conversation about this thing. So we also need to configure RBAC for this thing. So here's an issue, which is that currently Meshery is deployed in this cluster. So Meshery can do stuff inside of the cluster. It detects the cluster's kube config, and this is not a locked environment. We took down the like right now there is no kind of privilege that exists here that we can escalate from a normal user to an admin. Everyone has all the privileges, which is not quite what you want, because which means that anyone can bring down the playground if they want to. So which is not ideally what we would want. Right now, what happens is that when you deploy Meshery, it uses cluster role and cluster role bindings. So so I think for the playground environment, we would want a role and role binding and give very specific and granular permissions to Meshery server. So, and that also should be either that can be configurable from the Helm chart, or there can be a separate Helm chart for playground, which has that role and role binding, and it asks for very specific permissions like deployment in something in the Meshery namespace or something like that. So that users can't delete other people's stuff, or so, because whenever user will invoke an operation, that operation will be invoked by Meshery, and we want to give here's the thing. Previously Meshery had all the permissions with Kubernetes, but users did not have control over Meshery, so everything was fine. But now users can do everything to Meshery, and Meshery can do everything to cluster. So you can see from the transitive property of everything, users can do everything to the cluster. So right now we want to create that barricade over to the between Meshery and Kubernetes. So for that, we would need granular permissions. So there is one issue there if you're noting things down, because you said that you kind of would like to work in this area. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. You can create an issue for this thing, and I think these things should go in separate issues. So the first issue would be to give limited privileges to Meshery. The second issue was the monitoring issue, to add monitoring inside of the cluster. So if I look at all the pods that are present, maybe in the I can pick Meshery namespace or second. I think I'm having some issues right now. I'm having some UI issues right now, but inside of metrics, if you were to if you were to see pods, you could see inside of the metrics, you would see only the metrics for coming from the node exporter. So right now there is a Prometheus running. I think I might have the kube config for it. So uh, yeah, this is the playground. So so right now there should be a Prometheus running. Yeah, there is a Prometheus running in the monitoring namespace right now. And if you're already not familiar, then here is inside of by the way, if someone else can help over here, which is the Meshery test plan is, I said, not updated completely with all the workflows that exists. And one of the workflows that comes to my mind as I discuss this is the workflow which does cleanup. So if you go over here, you'll find so like there is a workflow which deploys Meshery Playground, and then there is a workflow which performs some cleanups, which is currently very dumb. So I guess now this was a can of worms. So now this is the third issue. So I guess if I were to open that particular workflow, it's I can't recall the name. I guess it was deploy playground CNCF reboot reset. I guess it is reset. So what this reset does is that okay, I can't seem to. So yeah, this is a reboot. So we perform a reboot right now. There is an issue which was pointed out by Lee, and this is inside of the docs as well, which is that we were experiencing downtime. So every 24 hours or so, the machine goes down, and by down it means that the bare metal machine has a network issue. It disconnects from the internet, so we have to reboot it. And currently, so we have to manually reboot it so that it doesn't happen. There is some issue with the machine. We are talking to the Equinix team to get that solved, but right now provisionally we have this hack that we trigger this particular workflow, which actually does it automatically. And then there is reset workflow. This reset workflow, as you can see, it deletes all the namespaces except for the whitelisted ones. So it doesn't delete kube system and monitoring. But as you know that this is not a cleanup. So anyone who deploys anything in the default namespace would not be deleted, because we don't undeploy anything that is, we don't, basically the cleanup here basically means take all these namespaces like MetalLB, where the MetalLB is deployed, which allocates the load balancer IPs, and make sure the networking is working. Don't delete the namespace, monitoring namespace, the kube system, the Meshery, so all the namespaces that we need for the playground to run. And other than those namespaces, whichever namespace exists that users might have created, just undeploy that. But that doesn't solve the issue, because someone can deploy something else in some in one of these namespaces, and that would not get removed. Another thing is that there are cluster-wide resources. So not everything is namespace, right? So you can deploy a cluster role binding, a cluster role, a mutating webhook configuration, and that would not get deleted. Why? Because that's a cluster-wide resource. So of course, this is a very dumb kind of logic right now. To just remove the non-essential namespaces. So there's the third thing. Actually, I jumped. So the first thing was about the RBAC. The third thing is about this adding basically adding intelligent logic to this particular workflow, so that we make with so that we perform as much as cleanup as possible without damaging, or without interrupting Meshery server, which is also running in the same cluster. Eventually, if this does not work, we would have to move to a place where we have two clusters. Meshery is running in one cluster, and then it is managing in the playground environment another cluster. But it would be good if we don't have to go that way. If we just solve the RBAC issue and this cleanup issue, then we would need to go that way. So if you were to create, there are three issues. The first is RBAC. The third is to have intelligent logic for if anyone else wants to work on this particular thing. I mean, of course, this thing can be split. So if you have some proposals over how we can intelligently perform cleanup, like delete resources, maybe like, ask Cube API, like do kubectl API resources, get the list of all the resources that exist, then run a for loop, and then whitelist things from the. I mean, there are a bunch of proposals that can be made upon how to delete and what to delete, and we can't mess things up, because we don't want to delete anything that is part of the Meshery installation. And now another intelligent logic would be, we take a resource and we look at the annotation and we see if there is Meshery there, which means it is managed by Meshery. So we don't delete it. Otherwise, I mean, not managed by Meshery. I mean, the Helm annotation is Meshery, which means it was part of the installation. So the point is that there are a whole bunch of ways we can go around it, and there can be like a 1 hour conversation just on how to reset the playground. So if you were to create an issue, we could discuss all the approaches on the issue. So the third part is the creation of this particular issue. The second part, which I glossed over, was the Prometheus thing. Right now, there is just one Prometheus deployment which has node exporter. If you have a better approach where we can monitor Meshery pods, eventually we would want to monitor Meshery pods. But the thing is that one way to do it is again the sidecar model, that we inject envoys into that. But that kind of, we don't want to do that right now, because the basically there is more area to basically we create more area to have bugs in. We already have a lot of bugs, so injecting sidecars wouldn't be a good idea as of now. We could use service mesh for Meshery. I mean, we could install basically install a service mesh using Meshery, and then on that service mesh we install Meshery. So but again, before we go that way, if there is another way you can find how we can monitor the Meshery pod, maybe there is something from Cilium which we can use, some EPF stuff we can use to monitor for a pod without having a sidecar attached to it. There are a bunch of ways to do that. So monitoring of Prometheus, from monitoring of that's the second thing. Monitoring of Meshery deployment on playground using Prometheus, and maybe then have a Grafana dashboard for it, so that it's much more visual and all that. So there are three issues. So do you have any doubts in these three issues? Do you want me to explain anything in these three issues, or will you create these and then we can start from there.
Yeah, I will create the issues. Like I would have to research about them because I've never worked on these type of
Yeah,
things.
yeah. Yeah, of course you don't have to work alone. This will be like a community effort. So when you create those issues, make sure that you tag people on the CI channel. You you be explicit with the basically explain the more you explain on the issue, the less you have to go back and forth later with the people. So make sure that you have all the explanation inside of the issue. That's why I regurgitated so multiple times so that you have that thing. If you have any doubts, ping me on Slack, and
Yeah,
I'll get
sure.
your doubt here. So
Sure, thanks.
so that was about that. Hopefully we can bring playground to a better state where it's more available than it is right now. As it's pointed out by leads, there is this 8:05 to 8:15 central time which when it goes down, and this is planned. So there is this workflow which reboots the VM, and it takes 10 minutes, I guess, for the VMs to come back up. And but there is this another time where it again goes down, but this is not planned. So this is an open issue, open area of exploration. I didn't get time um, to look into this. If someone else wants to, you can. I think this particular task can be converted into an issue. So again, Ansh, again, I'm taking your name again. So this can be a fourth issue. Can you create an issue out of this thing? Just maybe explain the same thing that Lee has explained over here, which is investigate playgrounds unplanned downtime. So yeah, that can be a four-word title for that issue.
Yeah,
Investigate
sure.
playgrounds unplanned downtime. Okay.
I will take a look at it.
Okay. So there are four issues that you have to create, and maybe you might be able to work on a bunch of them. So creation of issues, the first part, then getting people onboarded on that issue, so that and then delegating the action items so that people can work asynchronously. That's the agenda. So that was from my side. So I hope you have those things down. And yeah, moving on to the next item, which is from actually this next item. I think I don't remember who this was. Again, Ansh, was this assigned to you? Creation of mesh map design for, I think you had created this mesh map design, right? For Meshery Cloud.
Yeah, I did it, but this issue was not assigned to me.
Okay, so have you gotten this thing published on the Meshery.io website? This particular design. So we have a catalog. So for uh, context to other people, we have this catalog of all the designs, and here you can see there are new ones being added from the last time I saw it. So yeah, that's good. So I guess there is this Meshery playground. Is this the one that is this yours? No, this is mine. Have you gotten any of your designs published, by the way,
I,
Ansh?
yeah, I don't publish it yet.
Okay. So this playground Prometheus. This particular design is what the current Prometheus deployment is right now. So yeah, by the way, to other folks as well, if you create a mesh map design and if you deploy it and it's working and everything is fine and you want to share it with other people, where how to create a Meshery design, again, you can set up Meshery locally. You can set up in your Kubernetes cluster using the commands that we have, using Meshery CTL, which is the preferred way of doing it. Or you can just use Meshery Playground. So if you use Meshery Playground, you don't have to do anything. Just log in. If you have access to Mesh Map, then you would be able to see Mesh Map. Otherwise, you wouldn't be seeing Mesh Map. So here I can see Mesh Map, but if you don't have access to it, how to get access to it is go to play.meshery.io and fill this cute little form that we have here. And once you click on submit, we get a mail, which is to say which has your name and everything, and then we approve, and then you see mesh map, and then you can come over here, and then you can come over here, and then you can look at all the designs that we have. You can uh, see what are the components that are there, and then you can, or the easiest way is to just go on to applications, and applications are just basically Kubernetes, a way for you to convert an exist. It's like a brownfield thing. So instead of creating a greenfield deployment, you create an existing you take your existing Helm chart or your existing Kubernetes manifest and you directly import them here, and then you convert them into mesh map designs. Right now, there is no way to go the other way around. So we are kind of working on that. So you should be able to go from a mesh map design to a particular infrastructure specific, you can say, uh, um, YAML files. So if it's Kubernetes, you should be able to go there. Eventually in future, maybe you should be able to go from a design to Terraform files. The idea is that this design format is the thing. This is the format that Meshery understands, and the other format like Kubernetes Helm chart, it has like adapter code there to interface with the other external components. So you can import an application, you can create your own design from scratch, and after you're done with it, you can click on publish, and the ones which are approved will be published here. Some of them are missing this created by, the name is missing over here, and as you can see the caveats, people didn't write these things. So but I guess it's the initial stage of stuff. So we are still trying to so this one was created by this person, but they also didn't add much information, which is which we kind of encourage you to add. And by the way, if when you publish design, you can go to your Meshery Cloud profile and you can see those. So if I guess if I go to my, I don't remember, I guess if I go to my account and my profile, I should be able to see. Okay, this isn't what I want. Yeah, so these are like 1 2 3. There are 8 designs that I have published. You can look at your Meshery Cloud profile, what was your activity and how many designs you published and all. So yeah, you can get basically the gist of the whole thing was you can get your designs published, and designs is easy to make a design, and a bunch of ways that I said you can make designs. So that was that. And now moving on to the um, yeah, so just to conclude, you have not made the Meshery Cloud design, right? Or you have made it, but you haven't published it.
Yeah, I have made it. But I have not published it yet.
Okay, so have you tried to deploy that design locally to see if it works?
Yeah, I try to deploy it, but I don't don't like how it works basically. So I'm like more researching on it. I'm learning
Okay,
the
so
things now.
I think I would recommend you to learn in open. So whatever your progress is, create a pull request, add anything in there, anything, so that so that if you go off track in the wrong direction, we can catch you early. So create an whatever design that you have, just create that. I think there was an existing Helm chart for Meshery Cloud that you might have used to create these designs. And like we use Postgres, and there are a bunch of ways to use Postgres. You can create a Postgres deployment and a service, or you can use Postgres operator to do all that. And all of that can be discussed in the in the PR that you create. So I would recommend you to create a pull request, add draft on top of it, so that we have something. So people know that you are working on something. It's always good to work in open than to work in uh, close. So that's the whole point of open source. So that was that. I hope you got my point. So I'll move to the next item, which is from Philip, which is Meshkit unit test. And I don't think Philip is here. I can talk about this item real quick. So Philip was working on creating unit tests for Kate's describe package. Okay, this is a broken PR. The other one is, I guess, yeah. So he was working on adding these particular. So basically, there is a describe package inside of Meshkit. This is Meshkit, by the way, not Meshery. And Meshkit is uh, kind of a utility package for all the common functions, common structs, common database structs, common functionality that is needed across all Meshery repos, all inside of Meshery org. We add that functionality onto Meshkit and then use it from here. Just like Kubernetes has that CLI runtime, and then the core functionality is there, and then the kubectl is just importing all that functionality. You can create your own CLI on top of Kubernetes using the CLI runtime. So all the core functionality is at one place. So this is like, yeah, the core functionality is at one place, and this is at one place. So there are things like inside of util slash Kubernetes, there is a describe package, which is a very small layer over the describe command. And it might have been needed in Meshy CTL, it might have been needed in Meshy server. So you can review this PR. There is a link inside of here. So if you're interested in Golang's unit test, this is actually a great place to start, because the only place you would find unit test right now, Golang unit tests, are Meshy CTL. Other than that, there are very few places where there are unit tests. And the job of a unit test is to test a very specific functionality of a very specific function by giving it an input and expecting an output. And that's what he's doing right now. There is a describe function, and he's testing that describe function by creating a mock client. So in actuality, the request goes to Kube API, but he will mock the response from Kube API so that so that he's able to perform this test. I don't know if this is working right now or what's the state of it and all that. I hope Philip would have been here to talk about it, but sadly he isn't. So we might talk about it in the next call or try to get it landed. And this can be a helpful starting point for some of you who want to get started with unit tests. So please review this, get a hang of it. If you have any doubts, any general doubts about just Golang unit tests or Kubernetes in general, you can ask it on Slack, and I'll be happy to answer. And other folks can also jump in. So yeah, that was that. Then I would move on to Friedrich item, which is the update E2E test for user preference and redoc API docs. So would you like to take over?
Yeah, sure. So I already talked about the end-to-end test for the user preference.
Yeah.
So now it's mostly about the, okay, let me show
Redoc.
you redocly. So, so basically, last time there was like to be able to change, we were trying to like find a way to change the layout of the generated doc so that it could fit the reference doc. But the option that was given Redocly themselves, I mean, the feature that they was allowing to do that was actually with the paid version of Redocly. But I found that we can add like a custom template, that one. We can add a custom template and change the layout of the generated doc. So for now, I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. But if you see, those one are like the handlebar. So basically, when you run the custom template, where is it? Here, so the Redocly HTML is just being generated here in this part. So I'm just trying, currently I'm trying to figure out how exactly we can change the layout with that custom template. Yeah.
Do you have an open PR for this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and have you tagged other folks on Slack asking the exact issue, like the thing that you are stuck on, or if you need any help regarding this thing on the UI channel or on the CI channel?
Yeah, sure. Last time I was talking with Vivek, yeah, and I gave him like update about this issue. So yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I'll say, so can you paste the link to the, I think you have already given the link in the, is the link in
Yeah,
the meeting notes?
yeah, I can share again the link if, okay.
You can add the link in front of your agenda item.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, thank you, Pradesh, for talking about your item. I hope we can get. How far away is it from? Like how can you, how like what's the ETA on this one? When do you think it can land this PR of yours?
For the redoc,
Yeah, Redocky.
yeah, actually, like as soon as I'm able to figure out how to like change the layout,
Okay, okay.
I will be done
So
with
after the
that.
call, you can tag me and Lee and Abi inside of Meshery UI channel or Meshery channel and ask the exact question that I want to change the layout. Can anyone help me with this so that other people can jump on and accelerate you in this direction so that you can get it landed, right?
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, British, and we are over time right now, so it's exactly 1 hour. Thanks everyone for joining. This call takes place every other week. So I'll see you next week, next Thursday. And up until that time, bye, I guess. Bye everyone.
Thanks. Bye.